We saw a number of stories this week about companies complaining about employee spend effectively. Uber has capped staff at 1,500 quid a month per tool after torching its entire annual AI budget in just 4 months. We also saw Pizza Hut being sued over a system that delivered cold pizzas. Starbucks binned a tool that couldn't count milk. So there's obviously all of these AI implementation challenges. Consumption-based token pricing means that nobody can forecast spend. So what I'm trying to do here is unpack the PR versus the reality. Will the enterprise continue to challenge AI ROI? I guess the first question, maybe to you, Matt, I mean, I don't know what you do in Venkat with regards to AI platforms, and maybe you can give us a bit of an insight there. But I mean, how would you measure it? And you can answer that personally or as part of the business. But first up, what are you doing, and how are you applying AI? And then how would you, if you were running any organization, how would you measure the ROI?
Yeah, I mean, we're fortunate, right? We've been around 40 years, and since the very beginning have tracked all of the underlying data on all the funds we've invested in. So that's 500 funds, 17,000 or so underlying portfolio companies. So we benefit from a rich data set. And now, I think AI provides the opportunity to sort of turbocharge a lot of that kind of analysis and data work that we do. Like for us as a business, we've very much been sort of in the experimentation phase for a while, trying
like
different,
most people, I guess.
like trying different tools. It's still moving so quickly. I think it's a fascinating one as you get to sort of talking about things like ROI, right? Because like in my mind, long term, it's a margin thing, right? We're talking about, I mean, obviously people worry about displacement of labor and things like that, but like for me, it's like it's also a leverage thing, right? You know, people just being a lot more productive, focusing on higher value work, and as I think about that, like what that means then for the business, this is a margin thing, right? So it's whether you think about that on a percentage margin basis or on a quantum of margin basis for a business. It's just hard to do that kind of analysis in very short spaces of time, right? When you're still iterating. And for us, it just ends up becoming anecdotal. Like for me personally, it just makes what was historically pretty painful exercises like instantaneous in terms of
but you're experimenting, right? I think you've nailed it on the head. You're in experimentation mode, and obviously personally and as a business. Is that fair?
I'd say so. I mean, I think like we benefit from like obviously the industry that we're in and where we sit, that we kind of get to see what some of the very best firms are doing, and we're trying to sort of take their lead somewhat. But like, I think also being honest with ourselves, I think we are still in the early innings of a massive technology phase shift that's still yet to find its sort of equilibrium.
Yeah, I think I was at the UKPC, the ex-BBCA conference. I think when was this, beginning of the year, and I was doing a panel, and there was maybe 250 VCP crowd, and I said, be honest with me. How many of you are using AI where it's actively moving the needle for your workflow? It's really, really making a difference to your workflow. Not experimentation, but really, really it's embedded and making a difference. And only a small smattering of the 250 people in the room put their hands up. So I think it's a fair proxy for most businesses in the experimentation phase where they're just trying to work stuff out. Do we build? Do we buy? How do we integrate? What goes where? How does it all fit together? And which departments get affected with what? And I think this rolls into the whole Uber CEO story talking about capping spend, because I'm not sure how better Uber's business is because of this mega spend in AI in the last 4 months. What have they proven? What have they done faster or better or smarter? That wasn't in the article. It was just the sheer fact they're spending a shed ton of cash on all of these AI toolkits. So I'm waffling now. Mads, what would you add, or where would you take this one?
Mark Andreessen, he talks about this as sort of modern day alchemy. You know, the kind of Historically, alchemy was this idea of being able to turn
Lead
lead
to
into
gold.
gold. And people were looking for the philosopher's stone and the ability to do that, instead of thinking, look, if we could turn lead into gold, what an amazing thing that would be. And of course, many people tried and nobody ever succeeded. And what we've succeeded in doing with AI is to turn, as Andreessen says, sand into intelligence, because we can literally create silicon, which is created out of sand, and then turn that into a thinking capability, which is magic if there ever was anything. And suddenly, not only have we created this magic, but it's available to everybody. We all have it, right? You can, even consumers can go online and sort of use Gemini for free. So suddenly we all have this magical power, and everybody's rushing to find out, well, how can you actually use that to become mega productive? And of course, there is, as you say, Dan and Matt, a lot of experimentation. And that is why we're seeing, I think, so many of these gyrations right now is everybody's rushing, everybody's experimenting. Personally, I think it's super exciting. Of course, it's good we have some bean counters that are going to look at the bottom line and make sure there's return on investment. I have no doubt that will be the
How will they
outcome.
do that, Mads? You've got a great brain for this kind of thing. How would you measure ROI?
Well, I mean, that's easy. You look at cash flows. At the end of the day,
That's
everything
it.
has to translate into money. That's why money is so great, right? Because it's
Yeah,
what
it's
we
the
used
ultimate
to.
token.
We can keep score of everything else. So, but people are sort of expecting that, because they started using Claude and I don't know, last quarter it'll show up in massive profitability this quarter. Business doesn't move that quickly, guys. I mean, it takes a little bit of time to work out how everything should flow through and how to restructure and everything else. But it's happening. There's no doubt.
Yeah.